Hello, Deilor. Thank you very much for doing the interview with us. First of all, I would like to follow up on a question that was asked in the press conference before the final at Stockholm. Someone asked you if you felt more confident going into the final having had an undefeated season, and you said no, actually that increases the pressure on the players. So going into the World Championship, there was a lot of pressure on you. I spoke to some people from SK Telecom who said, Fnatic are really, really good. And then you won your first game and lost your next two games. How is your team adjusting to that pressure and the expectations?
I think the team is adjusting fine. Even though, when I answered that question, basically we had no information about the Chinese and the Korean team. So I had no information to actually know how strong we were related to them. After we did our Korean bootcamp, we played versus Chinese teams and Korean teams. So I already had it, or the team had an idea. So coming into the tournament, we knew that they were good, but we knew that they were beatable. So we are pre-focused, we play our first game, we do fine, and I feel like we kind of relaxed for the second game, and we were a bit rushed, and for the third game, kind of the same. So after these two games, for sure, we feel more pressure than after the first game because we've lost the last two, but I think we're handling pretty good, and I think we are going to be able to use the lessons that we've learned with the two losses and apply this in our next games.
You mentioned you think you've learned from your mistakes. Do you think you can identify maybe the biggest or the two main mistakes that you made?
The main mistakes are lack of preparation and also not being patient enough. Not being patient enough has a lot of impact in many things in the game. So this was basically the in-game thing, and out of the game is lack of preparation because compared, for example, with the LCS, we have 1 week for 2 games. So when we came here, on my side, I didn't put enough hours to prepare properly the draft, strats, etc. So now that we have 1 week between the first games and the first 3 games and the second 3 games, I have way more time so we can prepare better. And about not being patient, we identify the mistakes. So going into the game, we know what was wrong so we can change it.
And in terms of not being patient, some people have called out Huni since he used to make some of these problems with playing from behind in the spring. Mm-hmm. Do you think that you've had sufficient time to adjust things with him and that he can focus more on how to play in different situations this week?
Yeah, I really think so. I think he can adapt to any situation, and a lot of people are blaming maybe Huni, but what Huni does, it's not only in his hand. It's like sometimes he needs backup, or maybe there's comms regarding something, so he goes somewhere in the map, or he makes a play, or he does something. So it's like maybe the fans only see him doing X thing, but there's a lot behind of it. So when after the games we analyze everything, so maybe the final thing would be Huni does this, but actually there's a lot of things behind it that we need to fix. So we've already went over this, and I think he will be totally prepared for the next games.
Do you have a way of, I guess, maybe talking to your team about how they can adjust their comms for situations where Huni might be nervous, or does he get nervous? Do you think that's the problem or not?
No, I don't think that the problem is that he's nervous. Of course, he gets nervous sometimes. All the players get nervous sometimes. So, and about if I have a way of talking, yeah, of course, but it kind of depends of what's the issue. Let's say if Huni has... if after the game I talk with him and he tells me, I was nervous, then I will approach it in a different way. But maybe he tells me, no, I was not nervous, but the comm was this, so then I did that, and then we start looking deeper into what we need to fix.
And regarding, I guess, setting up strategy, you just said you get feedback from your players in terms of what happened in the game, and then you go from there. In terms of deciding which compositions, which champions to pick, how does your team approach that before a game and also during a game?
Here, for the first games, we lacked time, so I couldn't prepare as I should or as I would in the LCS. That basically, during the week, we have a couple of meetings, and we talk constantly during the week about the draft, about the picks, about what we think that the enemy is going to play. So it's basically a constant loop of feedback. And this is I will spend multiple hours per week with the guys talking about the draft until we do our final versions, or we say we kind of accept all the possible options, or we are fine with all the possible outcomes in the drafts. But here what happened is that because we have such a few hours, we cannot go over everything. So we kind of practice a couple of composition, a couple of things, and we kind of accepted a couple of drafts. But there are way more options. But I will need like 20 more hours to prepare this, okay? So it was the same process, the feedback loop, but it was way shorter. So we reach way less outcomes.
In deciding what champions do you pick, do you draw mostly from your team as resources? Do you collaborate with VODs? I know you have analysts. What would you say is the contribution that everyone has?
Kind of depends on how is the draft or the picks, but basically we gather information, we practice champs, and we practice different comps with different champs against different comps. So slowly we gather information about the composition of the champions, and I'm constantly talking with the players. So I'm constantly asking about the matchups, the 2v2s, 3v3s, lane swap, everything. Okay, so basically all the information comes from there. I try to set up multiple scenarios, a lot of ideas to try to find the best solution. Okay, so this would be outside of the game, and then in the game during pick and ban, there's rarely I kind of force a pick. Sometimes for me it's really clear, I will force it, okay? But normally it's more like a cooperative thing. Hey guys, what do you think about this? Or we prepared something, so okay, we prepared this, they're picking this as we expected, so but they've changed this pick, so let's adjust by doing this. So it's kind of a conversation between the team and me. I have the preparation, and I've already talked a lot with them, and then in Champ Select, we don't need too much time to make the correct decisions. But in this case, because we lacked preparation, then we had decision, and our composition was not as solid, or was not good, or not as good as it should have been.
Do you feel confident going into this week's games, or would you prefer, do you think you still need more time to think about the meta?
I actually feel pretty confident. I wouldn't say that I would need more time, but of course, if I had more time, I would use it. Like, instead of having 3 matches, I would have 2. Then it will be easier for me to prepare. And yes, I said I feel pretty confident, and I feel if we just play calm enough and we play our game, we don't take rush fights, or like we don't play our comp to the strength. If we don't do this. So if we play our comp to our strength, it would be fine. If we play around the spikes of the enemy comp, etc., so it will be fine. So if we play the game in a smart way, that this is what I assume is our style going, like showing our 18-0 during the summer split. I think we achieved to play this way. So if we just play in that way, I think it will be totally fine.
And would you say that, do you think that maybe Cloud9, since they're 3 in the group, are your fiercest opponent, or are you maybe more afraid of a different team in your group?
I'm not afraid of any of the teams.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.